We have three fabulous youth speakers, and I'll show you their webcam so you'll see them live. But Abby, Elijah, and Liam, all in leadership roles with various philanthropies, which they'll talk about. And also my colleague, Nathaniel James, and our partner at Youth Philanthropy Connect, Catherine Scott. Before I turn it over to them, I would like to take a moment again to highlight our program partner for this series, Youth Philanthropy Connect. You can find out more about them, youthphilanthropyconnect.org. And with that, I pass it to Nathaniel.
Great. Well, welcome everyone. I hope you're having a wonderful afternoon. And I just wanted to give a brief overview of the structure of our time together. It's really happening in two parts. So the first half, we're going to I'm going to pass it to Catherine, and she's going to introduce us to our three youth philanthropists. And if you want to learn about youth philanthropy, I think what I've learned is that you want to meet youth philanthropists. You want to know who they are, where they're coming from, what kinds of programs they're involved in. And so that'll be the kickoff. And then Catherine will share some of her wisdom and expertise working in the field of youth philanthropy so that you have a broad overview. We'll have some Q&A and discussion at that point, and then we're going to turn it in the second half to our Teen Philanthropy Café readers. And we're going to try to do something experimental and try to treat this like a workshop in person. We'll have some breakouts, and I'll give some instructions, and you'll have a chance to really interact with the youth on the call and the materials that they've been studying up with our Teen Café readers. So buckle in. That's our overview for the day. I'm going to step back now and hand it over to Catherine to introduce you to our youth philanthropist for the day.
Thank you, Nathaniel, so much. If you could go to the next slide, please. I have the pleasure of having our awesome three amazing young people, Elijah, Abby, and Liam, each introduce themselves. So, Abby, we're going to have you go ahead and introduce yourself first.
Okay. Hi, my name is Abby Dombrowski. I'm a freshman in college, and I live in St. Clair, Michigan. Currently, I am president of the Youth Advisory Council with the Community Foundation of St. Clair County. I also work closely with the Arthritis Foundation and am a board member and volunteer for a nonprofit organization called Beautiful Me, which helps to empower women of all ages and build self-esteem through different workshops and programs and different events.
And Abby, doesn't A Beautiful Me, where does it work? Where's the geography?
Primarily in the state of Michigan, but also travel to Guatemala.
And I think that you have a really special position that you do, Abby. Can you tell everyone a little bit more about something awesome you do that not many other people under 21 do?
Yes, I am on the board with the Community Foundation, and I'm the youngest one there, and I serve on that board representing the Youth Advisory Council because I am the president.
That's awesome. Is there anything about being on a board? What should everyone know about having someone under 21 on their board? It's a pretty amazing experience.
Yeah, I think having youth on different boards for any nonprofit organization is very crucial, and I think it's very beneficial for those organizations because it gets youth input, and the youth are the future of philanthropy, so I think it's very important to have those youth opinions.
Abby, if we were to look around the room, if your youth philanthropy program was meeting right now, all the people that are around the table making decisions, can you tell me a little bit about kind of who those people are that are part of the Youth Philanthropy Council or how people get involved?
With the Community Foundation?
Yes.
The board consists of mainly very respected, prestige, business, philanthropic adults, such as doctors, lawyers, businessmen and women, etc. So it's very intimidating being so young and going into a meeting with all these well-known people in the community dressed in their suits.
Now, that's the adult board, the legal board.
Yeah.
Of the Community
Foundation.
Yeah. What about the youth board? Who are those people, and how do you kind of get to be on the youth council?
Those people are different youth philanthropists in the community that they are on the board representing their different geographical locations in the community, such as the different high schools in different areas. And there's an application process to get onto the board, in which you fill out, and then the youth advisor goes through those applications and gets input from the committee members, and that they make the decision on who gets to serve.
Awesome. Thank you so much, and thank you for explaining us a little bit more about you. We're going to go on to finding more out about Elijah. We'll come back and get to learn a lot more about all of you. And so as Lauren covered, you guys are going to have an amazing time to ask these young people questions. So if you have questions for Abby or Liam or Elijah, who are up next, feel free to put them up in the chat box, and we'll make sure to get to them really soon. So Elijah, you're up next. I'd love for you to introduce a little bit about you and Youth Giving Back.
Hello, my name is Elijah Washington. I'm from Yonkers, New York. I'm in the 11th grade, and I run a club. I'm the president of a club called Youth Giving Back. And what we do is encourage students and youth all to just do awesome community things, and community involvement, and food drives, and all these different kind of things that you can do, like little money to no money.
And Elijah, I apologize because I might have missed it. Can you tell everyone how old you are or what grade you're in?
Oh, I'm 16 and I'm in the 11th grade. Yes.
Okay, and you founded Youth Giving Back, which is really unique that you founded a youth philanthropy program. So can you tell everyone a little bit about how old you were when you founded it? And also, who did you found this program with? Who was at the table?
Yes. So I went to an elementary school, middle school that was really focused on paying it forward and stuff. And I was, and then at this table we were talking with my friends in the 6th grade. That's when we first started it. So that was 2012, 2013. I was 12, 11-ish. And we were I did a lot of stuff with the student government that did a lot of community work. And then me building up all those together just was I don't know, just formed Youth Giving Back. Me and my friends. Yeah. Sorry.
That's awesome. And so it's all these amazing young people that it was you and a couple of your friends that founded Youth Giving Back. So this table of just people that were in 6th grade that founded this amazing nonprofit. And I'd love for you to share with us a little bit about one of your favorite projects or programs that you guys do so that people can know something that Youth Giving Back does.
Okay. One of my favorite projects that is very shocking is the peanut butter and jelly drive, where we collect brand new unopened jars of peanut butter and jelly. Fun fact is I'm allergic to peanut butter, so it's kind of weird. But yeah, that's the oldest project we have going every year in the springtime. And we donate it to a local food bank that gives it to kids in their backpacks to take home on the weekends to feed children and their families. And yeah, I just really love that project. It's so fun.
And what I love about that story too, Elijah, is that everyone has different things that they have accessible to them. And so you started this youth philanthropy program, and you all had peanut butter and jelly in your cupboards that you could bring with you. And
Yes.
so maybe not peanut butter in your case, but everyone had things that they could bring with them. And so you brought what you could, and you were able to find this great project and great program and figure out how to help each other. And so how do you pick the projects and programs where you're really giving in-kind support, different things you're able to bring together with your classmates and with your colleagues? How do you pick where you do your giving to?
So we have meetings. So we have a student board and then a board with adults and students. Usually the students all handle it first. They pick the projects. They pick a project each month, 3 months in advance. And they decide what are some things happening, what's a current event in the city of Yonkers that's maybe affecting youth or youth need to be shown to. And then they try to pick out which one is the best, and they do food drives or awareness projects, different kind of things that they do. Oh,
one of my other favorite things that you've told me about Youth Giving Back is it's not just in your school anymore. So it's in more than one place. So can you tell us a little bit about how this project has scaled and grown? And how many places is it?
Oh, yes. So, as I said, I started the club in like middle school, elementary, middle school, and then a lot of my friends who helped out during those years really came back when I moved to high school, and we were like sort of like split out during high school years. So that helped like bring people who knew about youth giving back into different schools, and then we met every Saturday, different people from each school, and then from there it just escalated, and people were really helping out, which was really awesome.
So now how many Youth Giving Backs are there? Like 7, 8, something like that, right?
Yeah, it's around seven.
That's amazing. That's so awesome. Thank you so much for sharing so much about you with all of us. We're going to have Liam introduce himself, and so if folks have questions for Elijah, put them in the chat box, and we'll get back to them shortly. So Liam, I would love for you to tell us a little bit more about you and your foundation you're involved with.
Hi, my name is Liam Fox. I'm part of the junior board on the Frida C. Fox Family Foundation. And we are a junior board that gives grants to maximize the potential of youth and just really help within our community, which is Los Angeles, California, and we have some junior board members that live up north, so we also have some grants that we've given up north in Northern California, and me and my junior board members have a grant cycle which we find something which we are really passionate about. Like for example, one year we decided that we thought that we all liked STEM through the arts, and through our mission, which is maximizing the potential of youth, we helped give grants because we liked all the art programs and technology programs and etc. that we were going through, and that we wanted to give other underserved youth the opportunities that we got. And so we gave several grants through a grant cycle and got several nonprofits to apply, and we decided which ones we thought most fit what we were trying to look for, and we got so we gave some grants out. So so we give grants as a group, and then each junior board member has its own like individual grant, which they can choose an organization / nonprofit that they really feel important about, and that fits in our motto. So that's what I do on the Frida C. Fox Family Foundation Junior Board, and as you can see, or if you don't, I'll just tell you, I'm also part of the YPC leadership team and planning about YPC.
Thanks, Liam. That's awesome and a great introduction. So I know you and I did the math last night, and so I'm going to ask you if you can share it with everyone. How many years or since how old have you been doing philanthropy?
I've been doing youth philanthropy for about 7.5 years. I've been a junior board member for about 7. Usually we get people on the junior board when they're about 7. just before 7 years old, and they start making decisions about what we're going to give to the following year. And
Amazing.
we have a big board that grants us so much money, and so yeah, they started helping. So I've been starting and deciding what we're gonna do the next year for about 7.5 years.
That's 7.5 years of philanthropy experience. That's more than some people I know in this field. That's amazing. I want to ask two other questions of you, Liam. So one thing I was curious about is if we were to look around the table at a junior board meeting, those people at the table, so for Abby, it's people in her community. Liam, can you tell us who else is around the table at a junior board meeting and is involved in the junior board?
Sure. So in the beginning, it was mainly family, and I'll just give you a little briefing. But so my cousin and a really close friend in the family and another cousin of mine started the junior board in 2006, which would be 10 years ago. And so it started out to be just family, but then we expanded to real close friends of the family, which also we asked them like if they would be interested in like what we're trying to do and help our community. And so it's mainly family and also real close friends, but it really feels like we're all like one big happy giant family because we work together, and it's just a great environment to work with.
So I have one more question for you, but I know we're short on time because we want to get to the questions people are typing in. So I want you to reply pretty quickly, Liam. So the tweetable version. What has been the impact on you? So we have all these people in the audience that might be starting a youth philanthropy program. What has been the impact on you of being involved in youth philanthropy? How have you changed?
Sure. First of all, let me just say that being in youth philanthropy really changed me as a person to see that not everyone has the same opportunity as someone else, which is really important to me because when I first started, I believed that every kid probably didn't have everything they wanted, but everything they needed or to be successful, like a mentor or enough if they had some art programs to choose from those schools and so on. But joining youth philanthropy in the world of philanthropy has really changed me to understand that no, the world isn't perfect, and so that working with my junior board and other philanthropists at YPC, that it's great to work as a group together to help maximize our potential of changing the world so that every youth and also adults can get what they need and can also have some of the same experiences that fortunate people like me and other youth in my community can have.
Catherine, we can't hear you, I don't think.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Thank you, Nathaniel. So I apologize. We're going to go ahead and thank you so much, Liam. I know you guys are the stars of the show, and people have great questions for all of you. And they've typed them in. They're going to keep typing in questions. We're going to take our webcams down and go on to the next slide. I'm going to explain a little bit more context about youth philanthropy and Youth Philanthropy Connect and the stage across the nation, and then we're going to come back for Q&A with all of you guys, and we're going to bring the webcams back up then. So thank you all so much for your time, and thank you for being such amazing leaders and taking time with us today. And honestly, for all of those of you on the phone and on the webinar, I also just want to thank these awesome young people and their parents and guardians that it took to get them here today. And they've been taking time off school because professional development happens for most adults while young people are in school, especially across time zones and across the country. So thank you all to all of the adults and teachers helping us have these young people here today. In preparing for this webinar, I've just been so excited and so in awe of the amazing work that these young people are doing across the United States. Youth philanthropy really is the giving of time, talent, and treasure and ties. And in this conversation, we're talking a lot about direct and indirect support that these young people are doing, where they're driving decisions, whether that's giving peanut butter and jelly like Elijah, or Liam and Abby giving grant dollars. It's all really important, and it all gives back to the community in lots of really important ways. There are a lot of models of youth philanthropy, and one important part of each model is how you do that philanthropy together and who you do it with and how those decisions are made about who's at the table. So with this in mind, I want to discuss the benefits that we've seen from youth philanthropy. So I'm going to ask Lauren to take us to the next slide. From making grants, we know these young people are learning business and administration skills. Liam has talked with me, and he didn't say it today, but he said it to me before. So I'm going to quote him anyway, about how he knows that he's told all day that one person can't make a change. But he actually knows through his youth philanthropy work that he's making a big change on the community, and as one person, he's making a big difference. And he'll be engaged across his whole life, as will Abby and Elijah. We know that they will be lifelong givers. They're going to pay attention to what's going on in their community. And data has shown from Michigan that actually these young people are going to give more to nonprofits when they grow up than young people that weren't involved in philanthropy starting at age 6 and 12 and 4 and 8. That just that timeline really makes them more generous in all of their giving throughout their lifetime. We also know that these young people are making decisions about topics that they're smarter about than any of us adults. They're doing participatory grant making. So these youth are a part of the population that they're making decisions about. Liam and Abby and Elijah are thinking about what young people in their community need. And it's been a lot of years since I was in school. And I know there's a lot of things that are very different today, and that these young people truly know more by making these participatory decisions and doing participatory grant making, and they're lending their expertise and insights in ways that adults don't always have the expertise on the youth community. We've also just found through time that these young people are doing grant making excellence, that someone who's been engaged in grant making for 4 years can have a very different conversation with anyone else just because they've been engaged for 4 years. So when Liam said he's done grant making for 7.5 years, and I know that Abby has done it for 4 years, and Elijah has done this, or 5 years maybe, and Elijah has done this work for more years than I'm guessing at this moment. I think it's 5. So I'm being corrected, 5 years, but it's awesome. And that they're having conversations that they could have with an adult that's done this work for 7 and 5 and 6 years. And we know that the young people, even at the Frida C. Fox Family Foundation, where Youth Philanthropy Connect is incubated, are constantly advising the adult board because they're learning things through grant making that we all need to learn as well. And they're smart and thoughtful. I know in the Q&A I'm excited to ask Abby more because in Michigan, they've done youth philanthropy for over 20 years. And so it's so exciting that every year there's more learning and that happens, and it's being passed to that next generation of youth philanthropists, so they're building on 20 years of grant-making excellence. One of my favorite things about youth philanthropy and the benefits is double impact. So just this work has impact. You've seen these young people. I don't have to tell you anything more or share. As you've noticed, in Elijah's example, they're planning 3 months ahead. They're doing a landscape scan of the community every month. And as Elijah's leadership has grown and his program has scaled throughout the community, the impact of his youth philanthropy program and his work has scaled with it. So not only is he growing as a leader and in his leadership, but in addition, the community actually has grown through what they're receiving from Youth Giving Back. So there's this benefit to Elijah growing as a leader and all the people in Youth Giving Back, and then as well to the community actually and the people receiving the peanut butter and jelly or whatever that community project is. So I'd love to go to the next slide, and we're going to look at some data from youthgiving.org. And truly, youth philanthropy has been around since I was little, and it's a growing movement with new programs being created every year. But when I was younger doing youth philanthropy, I didn't know anyone else that did youth philanthropy across the United States. I just knew the young people at my community foundation, and I didn't know where to find any resources or any other information because I couldn't find anyone else either. And so just over the summer, after a landscape scan of the youth philanthropy field, youthgiving.org was launched from the Foundation Center. And it has tools and resources and a map of all the programs across the world. And you can find other people doing grant making just like you. So on the next slide, we actually cover that there are 840 programs across the world. And we know this is an undercount, because when you start any list, at least you're starting to know what else is out there. And so these young people have given over $15 million since 2001 through these programs, 580 of which are in the United States, which is more programs than I think we ever could have imagined. And on the next slide, we go through the different types of programs. And what I think is really awesome, and I'm not going to read the numbers, you can notice them, is which programs are most prevalent and exist most often, and which have the largest volume and numbers. There are school-based programs like Elijah's across the community and doing amazing work from elementary school all the way up to college-based programs. Abby's model is at a community foundation, which is one of the other most prevalent types of programs. And we know that there are these amazing programs that sometimes partner with youth development nonprofits, that sometimes are a part of Jewish teen programs or other religious efforts, and have statewide efforts covering the entire state in Michigan, Indiana, and North Carolina. Liam is a part of a family foundation where he gives with his cousins, and they acknowledge birthdays, and they give with brothers and family friends. And there are only a small number of family foundations listed. And as you're doing work with Exponent and with others, I think something really important to know is that we know this number is underrepresented and that they're not all listed, but we also know that some people may only have one young person in their family who's the right age or ready to start youth philanthropy, so they might sponsor a family-based program, but maybe they sponsor it at their community foundation. Or maybe they bring their young person to get involved with YPC, or they bring their young person to get involved in another way across the philanthropy field. And so we know there's more than just the program number listed. There are also network type programs like Youth Philanthropy that support specific states or specific populations like Jewish teen programs and amazing camps. So these programs are as diverse as the number of young people that exist, but also there's so much potential to grow the number of youth philanthropy programs because there are so many more than 154 schools in the nation. So we're excited to, if you go on to the next slide, to just share a little bit more about Youth Philanthropy Connect. We provide in-person and remote learning opportunities. We're the only national network that provides these programs that serves young people from different program types and models, all at the same time with youth and adults engaged in this work that are doing philanthropy together. We provide support to whether that's young people, parents, adults, staff members, and young people as young as age 8. or 7, of course. And we couldn't do this work without amazing folks like Abby, Liam, and Elijah, who are actually our youth leadership team and really advise this work and help teach us about this work. So we're going to go to the next slide. And the really important thing that we wanted to share is that it can be tough to do youth philanthropy, and you want to feel like you just want to jump right in, but you don't have to jump in to the deep end. You can start with an experiment. So you can start to have a dinner table conversation and decide how much you're going to give with your family and sit down and talk to young people about it. You can have an opportunity to bring young people on a site visit or even a service trip to have an active site visit. I know one family that just went to the zoo to give to the zoo. So you can go lots of fun and different places. You can make these opportunities really accessible. And I want to thank Exponent Philanthropy, because to make these opportunities accessible and to make these opportunities equitable and to make sure that this table we're at today could have young people at it, one important thing that we had to do was we had our prep call and rehearsal for this late at night, because we wanted to make sure that everyone across both coasts was out of school and was all ready to be able to be there. And so as you're thinking about the meetings and as you set those, folks like Abby can't be missing school to come to a board meeting every month, because that's a lot of school to miss. So as you're thinking about just making those times accessible, but also making them interests that young people might be connected to and being curious about what they care about. And I think you can also make space for young people. And so Nathaniel has worked with our young people as young as age 8 at Disneyland at our conference. And, you know, he's made space for them to have these awesome conversations about really deep topics. And I think it's just been about opening and being really accessible. And so you can try different experiments. And you can also, you know, there are many of us across the field and across the 800 plus programs that would love to share what we do or have you involved in a site visit or whatever that is. And so I think there's lots of ways to get started. So I know that was really quick, but we want to bring back the stars of the show, who are the young people, and Nathaniel and Elijah by webcam, who I don't think we can see yet, to go through some of your questions for these awesome young people. So I know we have questions, and I'm going to go ahead and mute because I think Lauren's going to have.
I have a question for Elijah. Are you you on? Can you hear me? I don't see your camera.
Yeah, Elijah's been dropping and rejoining. I've noticed. Great.
So I'm sure Catherine can text and chat with him to see what's going on over there. So we have a question that is about a foundation board that has just been given the go-ahead to form a youth grant committee. So I'd love to hear, you know, Abby and Liam, and by Catherine also, suggestions for recruiting youth committee members. If you don't have an idea, I'll throw it to Catherine. Catherine?
I can speak.
Yeah.
Liam, go ahead.
So, Abby, you want to go first, or you want me to speak?
You can go ahead. I'll go after you.
So, part of recruiting young people, I think that was the question, correct?
Correct.
Is that you should make it fun, as long as like you need to. Part of it is giving, but to get young people interested, I knew that that you need to make it interesting, and so like as we worked on for the young people in our junior board, we have like little fidget toys and other stuff at the meeting, so that if it doesn't get a bit dry or like they get uninterested, that you can they can be back interested, and also to plan activities that also explain the material, but also creative and have a fun way of learning to teach them about the youth and philanthropy in general.
Thanks, Liam.
And
Abby, did you want to add something?
yeah, going off of what Liam said, I think that hyping it up a bunch is important, and I know a big recruitment thing with my community foundation is that we put a lot of things out on social media and like post pictures and make it look like we're having so much fun, which we are, and that like draws people towards us. And another thing is how we recruit our members as well is we ask the members on our youth advisory council to kind of be aware of who they can depict from their people in their school or like student council as who they view as good leaders, and then we kind of say, hey, you should apply for this leadership position with the community foundation of St. Clair County and things like that, and I think that's beneficial as well.
Thanks, Abby. Elijah, the question was about recruiting youth for a committee. Do you have another thought, or should I go to the next question?
I mean, the way I usually find mine is that like people that I know, and then it's normally networking. Like they tell people, I mean, the old-fashioned way.
Word of mouth.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, thanks. And I'm going to ask one more question, and then I'll turn it back to Catherine. The question is, Elijah, how did you go about getting school support for your group, and are you in a public or private school?
Oh, I'm in a public school, and I mean, usually the way that we start it is you have to have at least like 2 members in the school, and then you try to find like your favorite teacher or someone that really supports you, and usually the teacher stays after school or has the connections in the office to help get it like a club. So yeah, doesn't take that much work.
Thanks. Thanks. And I'll pass it back to you, Catherine.
Thank you. I think Nathaniel is actually going to take us into a little bit more about the Teen Philanthropy Café readers. So what I will note, though, is that these awesome young people, Abby, Liam, and Elijah, will be with us. They'll be talking more with you. They're around. We're going to take them off of webcams, but also if you keep typing questions, we promise that we will get answers from these fabulous young people, and even if we don't get to them, we will email out their answers. So keep asking them questions, and we'll keep getting you answers. Thank you.
Great. Am I coming through? Okay. Lauren, if you could advance to the first cafe reader slide. All right, great. So I'm going to do a I'm going to try to do a really fast lightning talk about our Teen Philanthropy Cafe readers because we want to get some interaction in. So we developed these with YPC in 2015, was when they were launched, which actually predates my time here. But I've had the pleasure and privilege of working with these tools with young people since over a couple of occasions since I've been here this year. And one way to think about these, as I was thinking about these sort of first steps that Catherine was describing. These could be first steps, first conversation starters before you even have necessarily committed resources or a plan for your youth philanthropy. So that's one way to look at them. And then once you're in process, you're making decisions. There's a lot of guides and tools inside each of these readers to help you get through certain hurdles. So I'm going to really quickly, and Lauren, if you can kind of stay in pace with me, go one by one through these very quickly to show you the 7 we have. The first one, the brown one, was grant making. And so just kind of some principles of learning the landscape, asking the right questions, doing due diligence and such. Thanks. And then, yeah, the next one, thoughtful site visits. We've actually assigned thoughtful site visits to Liam for our interactive component. So, so you'll be hearing some more thoughts about that. And I want to say too, when I've been looking and learning about these 7, that they kind of come in 2 or 3 tiers, where we see a lot of people using grant making and thoughtful site visits probably because that's like, some cornerstone information, cornerstone skills and capabilities that youth philanthropists need to adopt. And as we move along, Lauren, to the second one, or the third one rather, the dark blue, this is our nonprofit universe reader. It really provides a guide to really anyone of any age, and I'll talk about that in a second. But it provides a guide to the 501c3 world. How are 501c3 sorted? How large is that world? It's really, really helpful because, one doesn't tend to learn about 501c3s in K through 12 curricula, so this is a chance to get a sense of what's going on in the grantee side. And our next one is the path to impact. So this is where it really helps the youth philanthropists and the adults working with them think through, okay, we have the core skills, we understand the universe, now we're looking at how are we really going to make a difference. And I think this is where we kind of get into like our 201 level. And I think we've seen just kind of less uptake or less downloads of this one so far. I'm hoping we see it over time. But those who have worked with it have really rated it positively. So this is kind of like we're getting into the next level stuff. And our next one, is using your voice. We're going to hear about this one from Elijah. So your leadership. Using your voice is Abby. That's right. Thank you. I've got them on webcam correcting me. So we're going to hear more about using your voice. This is the funders, philanthropists as advocates. So we're going to hear a little bit about that. The next one, the bright yellow one, is leadership for a changing world, which is Elijah. So you'll hear more about that here in a second. So I won't spend too much time on it. And finally, the dark orange one, our next slide, is our collaboration reader. In my mind, I kind of put this one at the sort of like this is the really intense skill for anyone to learn. I think that even adults in philanthropy, there's a lot of work and a lot of effort going into collaborating better, both between funders and with funders and grantees, so that starts to show up in this reader. One last thing I wanted to say about the series is that I've been working with these, I've been using these with our 18 to 35-year-old next gen cohorts as well. And as you see, I don't think Liam's to his teens yet, is he? Yeah, so I just want to put a pitch in here when you're looking at these tools. Don't feel limited just because they say teens. Every adult who's interacted with these, every 18 and plus person who's interacted with these has learned something from them, or said, oh man, this is like, these are key points that are difficult to articulate when you've learned your philanthropy sort of in practice. So enjoy them as adults too, which you're going to get a chance to do if we're managing our time well. And yeah, so that's the overview of the readers. I think I'm handing it. We're handing it back to Catherine to lead the youth to talk about 3 that they've been studying.
Okay, so we're a little bit short on time, but we're going to make it all work. So we're going to go through all 3 of you guys and just have you share that short report of what you learned from reading your reader, and 1 question for everyone, which Nathaniel's actually going to type into our note app system for later on. So Abby, you're up first, if that's okay. So share the name of the reader you read, just in case people don't remember. And then if you can go ahead and let us know like your short report on what you learned. And of course, there's so much more to learn. So you guys have to read the rest of the reader, which will come out in the webinar email to learn more than Abby has time to share with you.
Yeah. So I read the Using Your Voice, and this reader basically talks about advocacy, and it talks about if you go public about your giving, whether that be your time, money, or talent, it is a form of leadership, and it gives a chance for givers to shine light on issues that matter to them and become a role model in their community, as well as it may inspire others to do the same or go out and do something different. And it also creates a lot of awareness for organizations or events that people may not have even known about. And my question is, how do you think it could benefit the causes you care about? So how do you think going public about your giving can benefit your cause?
All right, and so keep a note about that's on the question to participants. How can being more public about your giving and being an advocate for your cause Finish that for me again, Abby.
How do you think it could benefit the causes you care about?
Benefit the causes you care about. So hold that thought in your mind while we roll to the next reader.
So Elijah, can you tell us the name of your reader and then your 2-sentence update as well?
So my reader, the awesome one, was Leadership for a Changing World. I really, really like this reader because, you know, I do tons of leadership positions in my community. And I think, I mean, it tells you a lot of traits that good leaders should have. And my favorite one, it says, leaders have a positive attitude. They say, yes, I can, even when others don't believe it's possible. Sometimes you may get projects that people are like, whoa, that's too big for us. We're like 10 people here. We can't do this 1,000-people project. But I think if you guys all work together and you have a great leader that's pushing you guys all to do it, you can get there. So, a question I have for you guys is, what are you most excited about when it comes to the prospect of leading through your giving? You guys understand?
Okay, repeat that question once more because Nathaniel's typing it. So say once more, Elijah, for us, okay?
Yes. What are you most excited about when it comes to the prospect of leading through your giving?
Thank you, Elijah. And Elijah and Abby have really awesome stories, and we don't even know Abby's yet. So I'm excited for everyone to learn more about Abby's stories about using her voice. So Liam, you are the last up. Can you tell us a little bit about your site visit reader and the question you have for all the wonderful adults that are on here? And of course, adults, we're going to come to your time where we learned from like 3 young people, and so now it's our turn to learn from you. Oops, Liam, I can't hear you. Can you unmute?
Now can you hear me?
Yes.
So my reader is about thoughtful site visits, and this is a great skill to learn in philanthropy and having junior and youth on your board or junior board, because you're getting to know a nonprofit, especially when you need to when you're in a grant cycle or deciding how you're going to help or what kind of work you'd like to support. A site visit is very important because you need to learn all about how and if it's a good environment and etc. So what I've learned basically in a nutshell, in this reader is that how to ask good questions, how to get most out of your site visit, how to understand what they're doing and if they have good work, and just some thoughts that you might think about while being there, and basically how to get the most out of your time and their time, and how you can maximize this experience. And so my question to you is, what skills or new learning do you think you could gain from a site visit?
Awesome. Thank you, Liam. Well, we're excited to learn from all of the folks in the room, regardless of your age. So 8 to 108 or whatever age you are. So we're going to go up to the next slide with the Note app on it. And Nathaniel, can you tell us what we're doing?
Yes. Okay. So this is where we're going to pretend we're in a workshop environment, and we are going to break you up into smaller groups by the first letter of your last name. So if you are an A through I, you're going to go to this Note app. We try to make this URL as simple as possible. So you go to a browser and dial into that noteapp.com/youthphil. If you're an A through I, you're going to answer the question on the, what color? On the yellow Elijah Leadership for a Changing World little note card. If you're a J through R in your last name, you're going to go to Abby's question, which is green, which is about using your voice. And if you have a last name starting with S through Z, you're going to go to Liam's purple site visits note on this note app. So you can interact with this here. If you're having any trouble, you can interact with it in your chat box that you've been using as well. But we thought it'd be fun to create this document together with you on the web. I haven't used it before, but Youth Philanthropy Connect has been using it really successfully in virtual learning environments. So, so go ahead, you can go to that app and sort yourself into your group to answer some questions that the youth posed for you. And I think we're going to have like 3 minutes for this, so get there fast. Here we go. All right, great.
If you've
I'm going to go on mute,
post
Catherine,
it,
and I'm going to let
answer.
you. Catherine, I'm going to go on mute now that they have their structure, and I'll let you kind of facilitate the youth responding to what they're putting on here. Thanks for being brave.
Abby, while we're waiting for people to respond, can you tell us a little bit about how you use your voice? Because you do some pretty awesome things to use your voice for causes you care about.
Yes. So, since the time I was young, I've been a big advocate for the Arthritis Foundation and raising awareness about arthritis, and mainly like kids get arthritis too, because a lot of people aren't aware of that. They just think it's a old person's disease. And so with that, I've done, you know, different fundraisers. I started a team for an arthritis walk that is like an hour away from where I live. And this year alone, we raised over almost $5,000 for the cause. And that took a lot of advocacy and a whole year of planning just to raise that $5,000. And with that, like, it's also important to do advocacy with the Youth Advisory Council within my community foundation, because a lot of people aren't aware that we do have a youth board and aren't aware of what we do as a youth board. And so I like to just like post things online, tweet, post on Facebook, you know, share different posts about what we're doing. And also with the advocacy with the Arthritis Foundation, I made a post on Facebook one time and it got like over 50 shares, which is like crazy for my little small town. And then I had like people messaging me like, oh, I didn't know about this, and oh, this is inspiring. You inspired me to create a team and raise money and awareness for this cause as well. I think that is what using your voice is all about.
That's awesome, Abby. And I know you've also called elected officials. So you've done a lot of things. I would love to ask Liam and Elijah, you've both got some responses on your Post-it notes. We're going to zoom in a little bit to make sure you can see the big ones. And so I'd love for you guys to read what folks have written and just go ahead and respond. And then Abby will have you go last. So go ahead and read, and we don't have very long, so do the tweetable short response to what you think of what the adults have written, because this is your time to hear from everyone on the other end. So Liam, do you want to go first? What do you think of what the person wrote?
How can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
So yeah, whoever wrote on the blue Post-it note, the answer is yes. I believe that it's important. I know some organizations, it also it's important, but also it can be kind of expensive, but it is very I agree with you that it is very important to learn some skills and to help youth.
Liam, you've told me all of the ways you've developed your speaking skills, and I think you've certainly learned amazing public speaking skills that you already had, but also some through your youth philanthropy and your experiences. So definitely you learned interviewing skills through doing site visits that you've been up to for 8 years. Elijah, what do you think about your responses people gave? What would you say back?
Oh, I love the first line of it. It was like, I get excited about seeing my community change. Like, whoa. I mean, that's awesome because that's what I like to do when I run my club meetings. I mean, like when you see like everything just coming together and it's just beautiful. And also, I want to see other people in the youth movie offer. Yes, it's talking about giving grants, which is pretty cool. I think it's nice how they talked about giving it to organizations and organizations in need, especially not to these. I mean, it's pretty cool. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Sorry, I'm just like still reading it at the same time. But yeah, I love it.
It's amazing, and all of these posts will be here after the webinar. You can add to these post-it notes. This is your small group discussion, and we will commit to sending out all the post-it note responses, but also a couple of responses from each young person, because Abby, I know we've got to wrap up, so we can't hear too much more from you. I apologize. So I want you to give us your tweetable response, but also what we're going to ask each of you guys to do is to capture your response to folks or your comments on the topic, and we'll email those out. So Abby, what's your tweetable response to help wrap us up?
I think my sticky note is very good. I think just like the big thing is that when you do word of mouth, it's promoting free and positive publicity for that organization, and it helps people get more involved and give their time, money, or talent.
Thank you. And I know that just the one thing I would connect for everyone who's here on the webinar is that these amazing young people truly are the product of youth philanthropy. The skills, the leadership, the public speaking, the decision making, the thoughtfulness, and the empathy that you're seeing are a part of all of the amazing young people. And I'm just constantly amazed when we get together a room full of 100 or 150 philanthropists, that they're all this amazing and wonderful. And truly just thank you to our young people for being here today, but also as you're thinking of doing youth philanthropy, these are skills that you can foster in your young people.
All right. Am I coming through? All right, I'm going to do the 30-second follow-up to that. Yes, thank you to the young people. Thank you to everyone participating and experimenting with the Note app, which I actually and keep messing up by adding a post. Thank you to YPC for being a really wonderful partner. And yeah, keep playing with the Note app. It doesn't have to stop if you've got time after the webinar. With that, I will pass it to Lauren, who has a couple more notes before we wrap this up.
Great, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Liam. Thank you, Abby. Thank you, Elijah. Why don't you give us a wave as we say goodbye. Catherine is a conduit for connections to the youth, so if you want to get in touch with any of them, just contact her, Catherine at youthphilanthropyconnect.org, or contact Nathaniel. So thank you to our speakers, all of them. Thank you to Youth Philanthropy Connect for partnering with us on this 4-part series and highlighting some amazing work that young people are doing around the country. So as you saw here at Exponent Philanthropy, we've got another conference coming up next fall. This is our Connect conference, so just a little heads up to those of you who are interested in possibly joining us for some deep dive learning. Philanthropy lessons, we are encouraging openness in the field of philanthropy and accelerating effective philanthropy. So if you would like to share a lesson that you've learned in your philanthropy career, submit a paragraph or two that summarizes it, and our team will ready it for posting. Stay connected with us on social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. Here's how you can find us on social. And with that, I want to thank all of you for taking the time today to participate and joining us to hear from these really terrific youth. This is the future. So the webinar, we're going to conclude it now. You can click on the file button and exit